Alright guys, that's Scrappy again. So I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far with Black Ops 6 just around the corner. Big question as to what we are going to see in the competitive scene this season. The Halo side, that's not looking so good. FormaL has made it very clear over the last couple of weeks he is going to be looking to retire from competitive Halo at the end of this season. Does that say anything about a potential Black Ops 6 return? Certainly with OpTic not playing the best over the last couple of weeks, whether there's something in that, could a FormaL Scump reunion happen somewhere, even if it's not the Call of Duty title, but there is lots of optimism around this new game. Very much into your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, I thought it was cool to see Nadeshot and Scump together here for the Black Ops 6 reveal. Of course, there was lots said on this game yesterday and lots of reaction to it, the campaign, all this type of stuff. The classic prestige system is a big one to me because I don't really know, this is a funny clip, I don't really know why they've got away from that over the last couple of years. And it does frustrate me a little bit when you hear them announce things like, oh, you know, a return to the movement that we know and love, or a return to the classic prestige system. I'm like, you know, do they change things deliberately to change them back and then get us hyped up about changing them back? They've got to, right? Like, there's no other explanation to me at this point that they're deliberately making bad changes. And maybe they don't think they're bad changes at the time, but just in hindsight, it's just kind of frustrating, isn't it? When you see, oh, we're back to classic prestige. I'm like, why haven't we had that for the last several years? It was clearly the best thing for Call of Duty. There was a reason why it was in the game for so many years. So that's what the boys had to say on it. There was quickly this, actually, because we saw the other day Boston, they have the longest loss streak ever in CDL history. Well, they've tied it with Paris Legion from 2022 during Vanguard, where they were, of course, absolutely atrocious. Joey Numsy, though, he was on the Seattle Surge. He was there, was he their coach GM way back on the, well, I guess MW19 days. They weren't great that season, as we full well know, and there were some interesting changes made that year. That was the only team, I believe, ever to make a mid-series substitution for a player, right? If you guys remember when Surge subbed out Enable for the map 2 search and destroy, maybe, I don't know if it was a Gunrunner or what it was, but I seem to remember Enable got subbed out for map 2 search just because he's not a good search player, Enable, historically. They put Panda into the team because that was the theory. Year 1, there were 5 players on the roster plus 2 substitutes. So the idea actually was from the league, and it's funny in hindsight thinking about this because they just thought Call of Duty competitive was so much different to what it actually is. They were like, oh yeah, making mid-series substitutions, you know, putting one team in for Surge, one team in for Respawn, like that's the way to go. Of course, that's not the way to go, but it is still possible. Technically, you could do this in the CDL, I'm pretty sure, to the present day, and it was done once by the master himself, Joey Numsy, but of course the team was terrible. That was the team of Octane, good player, Karma, 3-time world champion, but kind of washed up at that point, unfortunately. Well, he wasn't really washed up, he's still good. It's more like he'd lost the passion at that point, so he wasn't the player that he was before. aBeZy was probably in a similar boat, to be honest. Like, he came off a good year, but, you know, he was also there, slacked, and then Enable, right, to round out the team of 5. They got paid so much money, that Seattle team, because they were all like veterans with lots of, you know, winning in their history and understand. If you look at that team in their primes, damn nice team. But unfortunately, it was one of the first of many mistakes made by the Seattle Surge franchise, and Octane is not reminiscing so well on that. But to be fair, they never lost 13 series in a row. So, you know, it's not as bad as Boston or the Paris Legion have been. Couple of clips to share for you guys. They jump, man. This guy is so entertaining. I actually love this new non-filter version of Nadeshot because he has been going off on the main stage ever since he's come back to streaming properly. It is beautiful to see. And he's talking about Scump and Shotzzy, obviously. Scump talking about Shotzzy, and Nadeshot just goes off on him, and then afterwards, Scump's like, oh, going for a nuke, so Nadeshot just shuts up.
I think Ant is an amazing player and person, and I love him. And I hope he wins everything.
Yeah, you're definitely voting for the left. I don't have any strong opinions.
That's my duo right there, low-key.
What the f?
We got along way better than when we teamed. Way better.
Listen, you...
He cried when I retired. I didn't even get a text from you.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you did get a text, and I asked you for a signed jersey, which you don't remember.
Yeah,
and on top of that, dude, you got the team with Shotzzy when it was all sunshine and rainbows. You and I were literally trying to get out of the goddamn gutter in the mud, trying to make some sort of semblance of a career, just competing against each other the entire time, winning championships together. You're out of your fucking mind. I hope you like that sunshine and rainbows path that fucking you and Shotzzy got to take for your friendship while we were fighting against the fucking world, dude. Go fuck yourself, buddy. I hope Dashy and Shotzzy love what fucking OpTic is today, how easy it is, dude.
You're saying we walk?
I'm fucking competing about it for my fucking life every day while you're dropping a goddamn swarm every map, Black Ops 2. I can't get my thumb out of my ass.
I'm about to drop a nuke. No cap. I'm about to drop a nuke.
Oh, okay. Good luck.
If we played Shotzzy in AW, do you think he's beating us, man?
No. He can jump around all he wants, bro.
Oh, shit.
Jump around all he wants.
I'm on the ground. You're getting pre-aimed, Cuevas.
Kyler had like insane movement in that game. And he was like 0 for 9 in the finals versus us.
Of course, there's been lots of talk lately around Shotzzy and FormaL. FormaL even gives the thoughts on what would happen back in Advanced Warfare. This is a constant discussion actually at the moment in the scene on what would happen if some of these newer school guys played back in the day. We did have in Advanced Warfare, some players were around that were not even 18 at the time. Because until the CWL, the Call of Duty World League, came around in Black Ops 3 in 2015, 2016, that was when they brought in the age restriction. The only age restriction used to be at the World Championship. You used to only have to be 18 basically to play at the World Championship. Every other event you could be whatever age you wanted, I think within reason. Now there's also this kind of famous story that not many people might know, but the Black Ops 2 World Championship in 2013, I'm pretty sure Scump was not yet 18, but because Scump was like the biggest player, they found a way to make an exception for Scump to be able to play. But after that, you definitely had to be 18 to play at the World Championship. But during Advanced Warfare, players like Hook, for example, players like Kenny, players like Envoy, players like Temp, players like TJ Halley, they were not yet 18, but they were still able to play in every event that wasn't the World Championship. So we did see back then players like Hook especially being absolute godlike at that game. So technically, Shotzzy and others, you know, if they were actually, I mean, Shotzzy was really, really young back then, could have potentially played. What would have happened if you had Prime Shotzzy today versus Prime, Scump and FormaL, TTP back then? Who knows? But as FormaL says, yeah, jump around, use the movement, but you wouldn't be as good as us, Sunshine. And Scump says, yeah. And even Scump in that game didn't use the movement even that much. Like, people sometimes would overuse the movement to their own detriment, and I think Scump was a good one of managing that. But obviously, this upcoming title, well, we would imagine that FormaL isn't going to be playing it competitively and Shotzzy is, but that might not be so clear as we're going to discuss in the coming minutes here. Obviously, Crimsic, as he says, Shotzzy right now looking at the Black Ops 6 movement, the omnidirectional stuff, how you can use the gamepad to run around and dive and slide sideways and all this type of stuff. So, you know, very interesting set of movement mechanics here that are now available. And, well, we talked earlier today and even yesterday, it could be GA'd, it could be banned. Some of the players might look at this and think, oh, bloody hell, Shotzzy's going to absolutely cook with this, aBeZy's going to absolutely fry with this, and HyDra, for example, better not even allow that to be possible and just straight up GA it out of the game. But we've got to talk about FormaL, because we saw the clip from Scump the other day, and even FormaL on his stream over the last couple of months, even couple of weeks really, has made it quite clear that FormaL is had enough with Halo, effectively. And this was probably what I expected. When he retired from Call of Duty at the end of 2021 and going into 2022, he felt like he was going to retire and do content, right? He made it quite clear that, yeah, he was going to become a content creator and call it a day with competitive play. Then Halo came out and he was like, you know what? I'm actually really enjoying this. Like, FormaL never lost the ability, and he still has the ability to the present day. It's all about, as we said with Karma earlier, it's about how much you actually want it. The same thing with Octane when he retired basically at his prime, because he was just fed up of scrimming all the time. Totally understandable, and I'm sure Scump feels the same way to the present day. But FormaL's been playing Halo, and when he did make the move to Halo, I thought, you know what? You know, let's see how long he goes for, because realistically, was FormaL's Halo return ever going to last for more than like 3 seasons? Pretty unlikely, just because Halo tend to die after like 3 seasons, and realistically, the same thing that occurred in COD was possibly going to happen again in Halo with FormaL. So he plays the first year, wins the World Championship, plays next year, 2023, comes second in the World Championship, wins multiple events in that time frame. Of course, initially he was on like a couple of teams before he got the move to OpTic, replacing Priestahh, and then this year has been not quite so good. They've still done well, they've still made finals, they've not been quite as good as where they need to beat FaZe at the moment, but nonetheless, FormaL has made it quite clear that, yeah, the game's kind of fallen off. People don't really care so much anymore. The development from 343 Industries hasn't really been there. The competitive scene is not in as good of a spot as it needs to be, and FormaL's kind of just fed up of playing the same game again and again every single day, which I totally understand. So FormaL's retirement from Halo is therefore imminent. He's made that relatively clear that, at least in his current plans, he doesn't intend to play next season in Halo. So what does he intend to do next season? That is a question. Does he just retire, do content? that probably remains the most likely possibility. There's other possibilities as well. Or is there something else on the horizon? Because Doug sent to Martin made it quite clear yesterday. Actually, he says this: Black Ops 6 looks fire. Lando in the replies, suit up, it's time to go. And Doug's like, look, it's a drug, I can't go back. I love it and I want it, but I'm stronger than it. I will resist, he says. So trying to make the claim that Doug ain't returning to competitive play. But do we buy this? The amount of times that players, Parasite did this a couple of times, Doug already did this. Like, I remember one of my first ever videos I made on news and stuff, I think it was during the World War II season when Doug retired, but then he was back. And then he probably retired again, and then he was back. Like, we see this quite often. So Doug's retired, and it seemed like it was for good, but now Doug's like, Black Ops 6 is looking pretty good, maybe I'll come back and lead the Boston Breach Academy again and find some new young guns to put up to the starting roster that I can get smoked and go on another 13 loss streak. Doug's found some good talent, and Boston have had lots of good talent over the last couple of years, but they just haven't been able to utilize it effectively at all. But FormaL says a similar thing. So FormaL, obviously reacting to the Black Ops 6 reveal, is like, damn, no Halo announcement, what a shame, like, nothing coming out for Halo, that's unfortunate. FormaL even made it quite clear the other week when he was looking at the crowd that was in Toronto for Major 3 that was absolutely sensational in person, but it looked the same online. He was thinking, wow, what a stage, what a crowd, what a community. Maybe it's time to make a return. To attach, obviously, bit of instigating, you coming back, and FormaL drops the kind of like, look, I better not talk about it type thing here. The thing is for FormaL, obviously, that where would he go? Because when he went to Halo, initially OpTic Halo had a team, and FormaL was like, okay, how can I get myself onto this OpTic Halo team? He did a couple of things, got loaned out to play with a couple of different organizations, and then OpTic didn't do so well. They wanted to make a move, they dropped Pistola, FormaL came through, and the rest, of course, since then is history. Is it likely that FormaL can sit on the sidelines and say, okay, how do I finesse my way back onto the OpTic COD team? And is it going to happen? Probably not at this stage in his career. It feels unlikely, but it's, I guess, not entirely impossible, especially because OpTic have obviously in the CDL team have kind of struggled the last couple of weekends. Not saying that means much. Like, I still firmly believe this OpTic team that is currently put together of Kenny, Shotzzy, Pred, and Dashy is the best OpTic team that they've had since the Dynasty. They've proven it at Major 3. Yes, there's been online stuff the last couple of weeks that hasn't really gone their way. But to be fair, if that online problems, let's say, continues into LAN, there is an argument to say, well, is this team actually the team of 4 that OpTic need next season? Let's not forget New York Subliners. They won 3 events, including Champs last year. They still made a change. So I wouldn't say it's absolutely guarantees that FormaL stays on the sidelines, but it just feels really unlikely that FormaL will find himself back into this team, especially because FormaL and Dashy played towards the end of Cold War. It didn't really work out so well with the entire Cold War season. Kenny, I don't think, should go anywhere at all. Like, OpTic need to hold on to this guy, I think, at all costs in terms of what he's done for the team. So, is there a possibility elsewhere? Could FormaL even go and play for another team? Could he get loaned out to another organization and play for them, kind of like he did for Luminosity for a couple of years when the OpTic Dynasty came to an end? If he really wants to come back and play in Black Ops 6, nobody is going to say, oh, FormaL's looking to join our team. Well, okay, we're going to say no. Like, maybe OpTic Texas would, just because they've got a very good team, and like FaZe aren't going to bring FormaL in realistically. I mean, honestly, who knows? Like, that would be very fascinating to see. But it's possible that if FormaL reached out to like Scrappy and was like, hey, I want to be like your AR duo at Toronto, like, is Toronto going to say no to that proposal if FormaL actually is like super committed? It's, you're not going to turn down the greatest controller FPS player of all time if he wants to make a potential return to competitive play. At least someone is going to give him a go somewhere. Of course, there's also the other possibility of the X-Defiant stuff. We've discussed that over the last couple of days. FormaL's been playing a lot of it. Scump's been playing a lot of it. Is it possible that OpTic field an X-Defiant team? Now, look, obviously FormaL's liking the Black Ops 6 stuff, and what he actually responded to with Attach was basically saying, I'm coming back to COD is the read between the lines, but not necessarily. I mean, he could be coming back in some other form. Maybe X-Defiant is a possibility. FormaL, Scump, okay, Scump isn't going to do it, let's be honest, but, FormaL, Zero, obviously he's playing Priestahh. I don't know, Priestahh was on OpTic before, not on OpTic, but he was on Chicago Huntsman, which was basically OpTic. So, a few things to think about here, but FormaL definitely teasing a return to Call of Duty in whatever form that might potentially look like. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.